Hello, today I'm going to show you guys how to make a stencil design using this tape here. So I already have my design cut out in here. I'm going to pull off my elements, and you guys can use your X-Acto knife to do this. I have a different tool for my Cricut that I can use that works just as well. So I'm pulling out the space that I want to be filled on my piece of wood. So I'm going to leave everything else on there. I'm going to be very careful and pull this up, making sure, like in sections like that, that I'm not pulling up all my design. So I'm going to put that back down carefully and pop out the inside. Now I have my design the way I want it. I'm going to throw my scraps in the garbage. I'm going to get some tape. Okay, I'm going to rip pieces of tape and cover up my design. You don't want to do massive pieces of tape, and you want to make sure you're covering up everything that you peeled off. I have this all covered off. Now I can peel this off here. And I'm going to carefully peel it off. So this is the reason why we taped it, so that the design would stick to the tape rather than the paper. I'm just gonna flip it over and rub so that the tape is sticking a little bit better, and then I'm gonna peel it off. If something isn't coming off properly, make sure you just press it back onto the tape. Once you place it down, you can't pull it back up, so make sure you have it centered where you want it before you press it down completely. I can pull off the tape I have on here. Carefully peel the tape off. You don't want to peel it all at once because it might pull off that top layer. And I'm just gonna peel it off one at a time, rolling it back rather than just ripping it. So I'm just gently rolling it back. Now I'm just gonna smooth it to make sure there aren't any bubbles. Then is you're gonna take some acrylic medium, sponge brush. You're gonna get some of the acrylic medium on there, and you're just gonna dab it over the areas where your stencil is. You don't want to go over it too thickly, and then we have to wait for it to dry before you can move on to the next step. Okay, so this is all dried. Now I have my paint. It doesn't matter what colors you use. You want to think about how they go with each other. I have my foam brushes, and I'm going to do an ombre. So I'm going to do from dark to light of my green, but you could do something completely different. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off the cap. We don't want to use that little paintbrush just because it might get too much into the lines of the paint or the stencil. So I'm going to dip this in here, wipe it off so it's not too wet, and then I'm just going to dab like I was doing before. You don't want to brush up and down because that might cause the paint to go underneath our stencil, and we don't want that to happen. Depending on how you created this, you might have to go back and touch up after we pull off the stencil, or you might find that you need to apply another layer. So you're just going to go about this and paint it in however you want. So I'm just going to peel this off very carefully. I'm going to roll it back. If this is still wet, you should not be peeling it off. Once you have it peeled off, it's okay if it rips too. You might find that some areas the stencil didn't adhere the best, and you'll have to go back and touch it up. Okay, the last step, and it is optional, now I have everything peeled off, is I can take the acrylic, or if you have some type of finish at home, I'm just going to seal it so that this stays on here and it has a nice glossy finish. You want to make sure this is completely dry before you do that, and I'm just coating this over, pulling in one direction for the whole thing.